So, Paul, final question. I just want to play you a clip of Donald Trump yesterday at a Ford
Salute
factory
to
commission.
Rand Paul, the son of Ron Paul.
Now, this was him, I believe, the factory in Michigan.
This was in Detroit.
Final question. I just want to play you a clip of Donald Trump yesterday
Detroit.
at a Ford
Detroit,
factory in Michigan.
Michigan. The Motor City.
Now, this was him, I believe the parlance is flipping the bird at a Ford worker who turned out to be a man named TJ Sapula, who's now been suspended, but says he has
With no pay.
regrets. He was screaming at Trump, "You're a paedophile protector." The White House Communications Director.
He said facts, but he should not have said this on the job. He does have the right to say what he wishes to say, but he's not immune to consequences. If he's working for a private company, if he says things that are not permitted on the job under that company,
I guess I would start with the person who yelled.
Firing or suspension or
anything you want, anywhere you want.
letting go can happen, can befall you. You must be logical when you are on the job.
Do you think the president's response?
He was cooking, but it wasn't
start with the person who yelled.
prudent to say it's while he was on the
but if you work for me and I'm Mr. Ford and I
doing his shift.
President Obama or President Trump, keep it arranged, and the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. Do you think the screaming at Trump, you're a pedophile protector?
DJT had the right to give him the bird. They're both American citizens. They both have the right to say what they wish, but
start with the person who yells.
The person
freedom of speech means you can
can't say certain things on the job. It is what it is.
I believe the policy is flipping the bird at a Ford worker who turned out to be a man named TJ Sapula, who's now been suspended, but says he has no regrets. He was screaming at Trump.
They said he got
the White House Communications
$600,000 plus dollars on GoFundMe. He received $600K plus dollars on GoFundMe. 750K. They said 750K.
People think that freedom of speech means
the length of time he will be suspended for is unbeknownst at the current moment. So yeah, people gave him 750K. The union is in support of him. They said they will fight for him.
Named TJ Sapula is now being suspended, but says he has no regrets. He was screaming at Trump, "You're a pedophile protector." The White House
DJT is this label.
said in a statement,
DJT is protecting weirdos, pedals,
gave an appropriate and unambiguous response.
Perverse people, depraved people, perverse people, cretinous people, cretinous people.
People think that freedom of speech. Occasional Senator Stephen Chung said in a statement, a lunatic was wildly screaming speeches in a complete fit of rage.
Yo, he loves this word, lunatic. Yo, Trump is wild, bro. Yo, DJT is wild all the way. He loves to label people who disagree with him lunatic. Yeah,
unambiguous response. Do you think the president's response was appropriate? I guess I would start with the person who yells.
he equates reality to hatred, to lunacy, to derangement, to derangedness, to mental illness. Yeah, it is crazy. It is wild. It is all the way wild. All the way wild. All the way wild. Crazy.
Named TJ Sabula is now being suspended, but says he has no regrets. He was screaming at Trump, "You're a paedophile, protect her." The White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said in a statement, "A lunatic was wildly screaming speeches in a complete fit of rage," and the president gave the name TJ Sabula is now being suspended, but says he has no regrets. He was, I believe the parlance is flipping the bird at a Ford worker who turned out to be a man named TJ Sabula is now being suspended, but says he has no regrets. He was screaming at Trump, "You're a paedophile, protect her." The White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said in a statement, "A lunatic was wildly screaming speeches."
He said Stephen Trump didn't say it. Stephen said it, but I know Trump agrees with what Stephen said. He agrees with what Stephen said. Trump says this label a lot. Lunatic.
Rage, and the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. Do you think the president's response was appropriate?
I guess I would start with the person who yells. People think that freedom of speech means you can say anything you want, anywhere you want. But if you work for me,
Stephen, he's bugging for calling the worker a lunatic. He's bugging, but I get what he's saying.
And you need to be polite. The person who yells. People think that freedom of speech means you can say anything you want, anywhere you want. But if you work for me, and I'm Mr. Ford, and I say you have to behave with decorum, whether it's President Obama
civility,
or President
sagacity.
Trump, I'll fire your ass if you're not polite.
If you violate the policies.
At your workplace, you've got to. You do not have freedom of speech.
Word.
To call your boss
you must adhere. You must adhere to the policies.
Have some controls over your behavior. So the person was inappropriate. Whether the president was appropriate or not.
Agreed.
I'll fire your ass if you're not polite, and you need to be polite. At your workplace,
period.
You do not have freedom of speech to call your boss a knucklehead. You don't have private property means the people who control the property have some controls over your behavior. So the person was inappropriate. Whether the president was appropriate or not, I'm not going to make a judgment on it. I wasn't there. I didn't hear it. But I think it's a useful lesson about speech that you can.
It was fair game for Trump to give him the bird, the middle finger. He's an American citizen. He has the right to do it. It is protected under the 1A. It is symbolic speech. It is symbolic. It is symbolic speech.
Thank you. There's no obligation to keep you on if you're rude when you invited the president to your business.
It sounds like you're kind of defending the president's right to flip the bird.
Take it as you will, interpret it as you must, Pierce.
Senator Paul, great to have you back on our set, so thank you very
much. Big ups to the libertarian Rand Paul. He's always based, always.
Bird flip is. It sounds like you're kind of defending the president's right to flip the bird.
He's one of the most logical Republicans in,
Senator Paul, great to have you back on
alive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, join me now to discuss Iran, Venezuela, Greenland, and more, and indeed the presidential bird flip. It's Glenn Greenwald, the host of System Update, Anna Gasparian, the executive producer and host of The Young Turks,
a beast,
author, journalist, and broadcaster,
a debating
Jorge
beast,
Ramos, who was detained
the Trish Stratus of debating,
and the Iranian-American foreign policy analyst, Lisa Daftari. Welcome to all of you, a stellar panel. Happy New Year to all of you. Let's get the civil stuff out of the way early so that we can have the less than civil stuff later as things turn a little Trump-like and inappropriate downwards as we get into these things. Let's start with that. Glenn Greenwald, President of the United States flipping the bird of an American car worker. Appropriate?
Nope.
Honestly, it's not something that particularly bothers me. I think, though, at the same time, it's perfectly fine for a factory worker who feels like President Trump's policies have been harmful to him and his economic security and his family's economic security to scream at him as well. That is the nature of the United States. We don't have royalty. We're not expected to be totally deferential or even necessarily polite.
But there's no immunity to consequences, though. There's no immunity to consequences.
What did you think of that incident?
We have to be fair.
I thought it was a perfect representation of what President Trump thinks about the ordinary American worker.
Fair.
And I think
all
his
the way.
actions and his policies have made that abundantly clear. But that vile gesture to an American worker helps you kind of. I thought it was a perfect representation of what President Trump thinks about the ordinary American worker. And I think his actions and his policies have made that abundantly clear. But that vile gesture to an American worker helps you kind of visualize what he actually thinks about Americans. That's what I think.
I mean, the worker was screaming at him, pedophile protector.
To be fair,
yeah.
on the job.
He is a pedophile
You have
protector.
to be logical on the job.
To comply with the order to release the Epstein files. We got one batch that's heavily redacted. Supposedly more was on the way. No, he wants to engage in the cover-up. I mean, I think that's been abundantly clear from day one.
Crazy.
And what is that cover-up about? It's about covering up for a pedophile and his co-conspirators.
Jeffrey.
So it is what it is. It's true.
And Jorge Ramos, two things I guess from this. One is the
I get why Anna responded the way in the way she did, but yeah, to be all the way a buck, she wasn't balanced in this part to to keep it all the way a buck. She's typically balanced, fair, but she wasn't in this case. She was saying real ish though, but she wasn't. She said F being fair. She said F the balance in this case, but yeah, yeah. And Anna, she's still I still give her plaudits and praise, but she wasn't fair in this case. But she was cooking when she said the stuff she said pertaining to Trump, to the files, to what he's doing. Yeah, she cooked, but she could have been balanced in this part. But it is what it is.
That's heavily redacted. Supposedly more was on the way. No, he wants to engage in the cover-up. I mean, I think that's been abundantly clear from day one. And what is that cover-up about? It's about covering up for a pedophile and his co-conspirators. So it is what it is. It's true.
And Jorge Ramos, two things I guess from this. One is the free speech part. Should Ford have suspended this guy for asking that question or making that statement about the president? And should the president have responded by flipping the bird?
Yes. It is his right.
I was surprised. I wasn't. I saw him and said that's precisely Donald Trump.
He got yelled at. He felt that it was fair game. Fair game to reply with what he replied with. He felt that it was fair game to reply with what he replied with. So.
I was surprised. I wasn't. I saw him and said that's precisely Donald Trump. That's just one. I was surprised. I wasn't. I saw him and said that's precisely Donald Trump.
Yep.
Ford have suspended this guy for.
They should have, yes, because
about the president.
He's not supposed to be in that to be
mean, I was surprised.
yelling
I
at
wasn't-
people
I saw him and said that's precisely Donald Trump. Then that's just one
be
example. Just recently,
to
what has
be
happened in Minneapolis and the way he
uncivilized
has referred
on the
to
job.
neighborhood is simply not appropriate. And the way he's been criticizing
You have to
immigrants and calling them
keep
rapists,
your
that's
emotions
not appropriate. So
emotions
I'm really not
in
surprised
check.
by Donald Trump. Not at this point, not after so many years since we have known him.
And with regard to Ford suspending this employee?
Fair.
Well, it's
They did
it's a private company,
the
probably they can do
right
whatever they want.
thing.
I mean,
They
and
did
we as
the
journalists,
right
we have
thing.
limits. There are certain things that I cannot say about child pornography. I cannot just create a danger when it doesn't happen. And if there's a defamation, I'm responsible. But if it's a private company, it is very, those are different rules. However,
Yep.
I'm for complete freedom.
Word.
I mean, I think we
Same.
can and should say whatever we want.
Based.
But then there
Yes,
are consequences,
yes.
and we just saw it.
Yes.
Lisa, it feels slightly trivial, I guess, to be starting with this. It was only because I ended the conversation with Rand Paul. But what do you believe this incident says about modern America, where the President of the United States is giving the finger to an American car worker?
Yeah, I think this
Factory
Trump derangement
worker.
syndrome has given people a bit too much liberty to act and behave in certain ways where, school day is canceled when Donald Trump is elected president because people have to emotionally process.
crazy.
And
Soft.
This is a democratic
Fragile.
society, and yes, we have our freedom, so we should also have a certain level of respect for the institution of the presidency, because look, President Trump won't always be in office, but will we remain a society that disrespects police, teachers, elected officials, and of course, the president?
Right. Let's
Eric,
turn.
can I just quickly interject on that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This phrase, Trump derangement.
Disrespect should never be condoned. It is terrible trash. It doesn't help anything. But meant to say simpery is also that something that is terrible. You don't want to be an A kisser or a lick spittle or a toady. You don't want to be a person who capes, who makes excuses for goofy behavior, for villainous behavior, for mucky behavior, for morally mucky behavior. You don't want to make excuses for morally mucky behavior. If you do, you won't be taken seriously, bro. You will lose credibility. You have to give credit where credit is due, but if something is terrible, truly, you have to check this. You have to check it. You have to denounce it. If you don't, you look goofy, you look corny, you look evil, you look trash. So you have to be balanced. That makes you a person of integrity. If you don't come with balance, if you don't bring impartiality, you will be seen as a bird, a disgraceful person. So balance is the key.
Right. Let's
Eric,
turn.
can I just quickly interject on that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This phrase, Trump derangement syndrome, this was invented by Charles Krauthammer, who was a Washington Post columnist and a psychiatrist back in the Bush years, to pathologize people who were criticizing George Bush for the war on
That's
terror,
crazy.
basically saying they were mentally ill. It then got transported
Crazy.
to every president. Obama derangement syndrome. phrase Trump derangement syndrome, this was invented by Charles Krauthammer, who was a Washington Post columnist.
Control tactic, manipulation tactic, silencing tactic.
Bush for the war on terror, basically saying they were
These are weapons used against fair dissenters to stifle their speech, to control their thinking, to control their thinking,
that is the spirit of America
to tyrannize them.
Curse our leaders, we can say the worst things about them.
It is crazy.
And got transported on this, and a psychiatrist back in the Bush years to pathologize people who were criticizing George Bush for the war on terror, basically saying they were mentally ill. It then got transported to every president. Obama derangement syndrome, now Trump derangement syndrome, which is basically
certain people are saying they are using this label Israel derangement syndrome. Israel derangement syndrome. Israel derangement syndrome. Israel derangement syndrome. Yo, craziness, bro. Yo, TP Tim Pool, he said this to somebody who didn't blindly agree with Netanyahu or the Israeli government. He said he threw this label Israel derangement syndrome at this person to control his thinking.